Welcome everybody back. I don't know what Bill's doing to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. Bill is dancing. I don't know. That's like some white boy dancing. He was not dancing with any rhythm, but that's okay. I am your handsome host, the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and to my upper left corner, I got the Cruises only, Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, Arkansas State's own, College Control.
Yeah, I see. I gotta rep the crew here. They're gonna go off and win a bowl game this upcoming week here. Mark it down. No, we're not covering any college football, but giving you a free one. Arkansas State. Pick them or don't. You lose a game in the standings.
Well, I picked them. I am being letting you know I have picked them. So in the upper right corner, I got Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally. He's in a spry mood tonight. He's like chipper. He's dancing. He was early in the back. I was floored. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm in a great mood because Shally's in a great mood. Shally, how you feeling tonight, brother?
Wonderful. I am also taking Arkansas State to upset the Huskies from Northern Illinois. I don't know how much of an upset it is, but hey, just follow me for more picks. I am on the top of the leaderboard once again for College Bowl Mania.
Yeah. We're all tied at number one. We're all tied.
What? We're all tied. I don't understand what you mean.
Gene, where are you on there?
I'm 7-2. Philly Killers, baby.
Philly Killers.
That's my old fantasy football team, so it automatically signs me up as that every time. But I'll be Philly Killers. I'm the Philly Killers. We got a lot to get into tonight. We got NFL action. We got to talk about the week that was and talk about the week that will be. A little wild week. You got football on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's fun. We got a bowl game on Friday. Nothing tonight, though. It's kind of a weird, just an off night. You got Wire2Wire. That's all you got. That's okay. And everyone's happy.
We're the bridge, baby. We're the bridge. Calm before the storm. Got to cross the bridge.
The bridge. I like that. But we got to talk about NFL this past week. And let's talk about the games that mattered. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. Because nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. They absolutely dominated the Dallas Cowboys. And then Micah Parsons got to go on his podcast and talk about everyone just waits for the Cowboys to lose. Well, I mean, we talked about how Dallas dog walked the Philadelphia Eagles 2 weeks ago. Buffalo absolutely annihilated Dallas. Josh Allen threw for like 96 yards in the entire game, and it didn't matter because James cooking something up went off. Your thoughts on Buffalo, Dallas, and what does that mean to the NFC playoff picture? Apparently nothing because Philadelphia went and blew their game Monday night versus Seattle. All it means to me is that San Francisco doesn't even need to win the biggest game of the season this week versus Baltimore. It doesn't matter. San Francisco's locked up the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically where I'm at, too, with it. I think the 1 seed is all but locked up. Like, obviously, Baltimore's up in the sneeze at this game. They absolutely could lose. But I think with the tiebreakers sitting the way that they are, you're going to have San Francisco as your 1. I think Dallas squandered any hope they had of potentially winning the NFC East this year because of that tiebreaker there. Because that was a week where you could have won up a game. And obviously, the Cowboys still have a tough schedule ahead of them. But, you had to find a way to get up for that one to get ahead in the division. So the Cowboys will be playing a road playoff game, and it's really just going to come down to the Eagles and where their ultimate seeding lies.
I don't know about that. I don't know if they'll play a road playoff game. Tommy Cutlets is going to deliver a couple cutlets, and the Philadelphia Eagles can't stop anybody. Drew Lock looked like Joe Montana on the last drive. James Bradbury contract looks worse and worse. That was the worst. That drive was embarrassing. Let's talk about that game next. Monday Night Football. The Philadelphia Eagles squandered away another opportunity by losing to the Seattle Seahawks. Patricia, the defense. Hey, listen, I'll give all the credit in the world. Every single player on that field on that defensive team not named James Bradbury had a very good game. James Bradbury was burnt up. He was terrible. Kenneth Walker played a good game. Nicholas Morrow missed a couple tackles, but he definitely made a play or two. Shaq Leonard got a little lazy on a play or two. I thought that was interesting, but James Bradbury was burnt toast. Every pass that was completed on the game-winning touchdown drive was on James Bradbury. Everyone. Did you know that? Did you know that? Including the game winner to Jackson Smith and Jigba, which was a great catch, by the way. He almost looked like he lost it, and then he controlled it, knee landed in bounds. The Eagles squandered an opportunity, and then afterwards, we, as nice as I can put it to you, start pointing fingers. A.J. Brown got on Twitter, started crying about the fans. Darius Slay was retweeting people, talking about his stats again. Jalen Hurts went to the podium and said, we need more commitment. We don't have commitment. That's a really bad thing to say this late in the season. We don't have commitment. Nick Sirianni has no answers. And I don't want to say anything bad about Matt Patricia because Keely Ringo had an incredible game. Eli Ricks played well. Sidney Brown looks like he could be a superstar. Your thoughts on the Eagles, Seattle?
So much to unpack here. I think Patricia's game plan was definitely more aggressive. I think it was a sight for sore eyes for a lot of Eagles fans to just not constantly be sitting back in, shell zone and relying on the front four to do everything. That being said, Bradbury was awful. I've been on him for a couple weeks. And it's kind of like the old adage in baseball: when you're up one run, you just can't get beat down the line. And he knows he has no safety help there. The one thing he cannot, if you give up the first down, that's fine. That doesn't lose you the football game. The one thing you cannot do is let the guy run by you and score a touchdown, which is exactly what he did. So I lay a lot of it there. I think AJ, I saw AJ stuff after the game, and AJ stuff wasn't really directed at anybody other than the fans. Just kind of, I usually don't agree with him, but he was kind of right in the aspect of he's kind of damned if he does, damned if he doesn't type situation. I'll be honest.
Don't you think he blundered on himself though, Bill?
I think he does with his antics, and and those are the situations where I agree with you. But it's like you said, his point was valid that if Jalen throws the ball somewhere else and something bad doesn't happen, they go, well, why didn't you throw it to AJ? Like he's our number one, and then AJ gets shit for that. But I'm going to be honest, man. The hero ball and this offense is getting in that rut again, where it's kind of the Jalen Hurts show, and it's not working. I have a problem with him going up on that, being the leader and going up there and starting to question guys' commitments when he's playing the way he's playing right now.
Tied for the league in turnovers.
He missed 4 blatantly wide open looks on the last 2 drives. Ran one. Both interceptions were horribly underthrown. Quez Watkins' ones was at least somewhat of a 50-50 ball. A.J. Brown had no shot at that ball. That ball was 5 yards underthrown. He's got to be better. He's, I don't want to use the word regressed because I don't know if that's accurate, but he's nowhere near playing the level that he played at last year. And a lot of it starts with him. I'm getting sick and tired of the running when it benefits him, and when it doesn't, he gives it to Swift and lets Swift's head get kicked in. The play calling still needs to be better. 44 dropbacks for his 25 rushes. Swift's averaged almost 6 yards a carry. I don't know when they're going to get it through their head. And they did it again this game. They opened the game, ran the ball, went right down the field and scored. And then they abandoned it, and they started getting cued. And, we're throwing bubble screens. If we throw one more goddamn bubble screen to a Devontae Smith side where you're expecting a guy that weighs 145 pounds with his equipment on to block 2 people, and then watch our other wide receiver get tackled 2 yards behind the line and people throw their hands up. I don't know what you're expecting there. Devonta Smith is a lot of things. A great blocker is not one of them, and it's not for lack of effort. The dude weighs 145 pounds. He's not a guy that's going to block well on bubble screens, but yet we keep throwing it to his side.
Well, Shotty, real quick, before Cottrell goes, I just want to give just one quick piece of feedback to what you said. And by the way, you said a lot of really good things. But I think that when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles offense, there's 3 reasons why Hurts is struggling. Number 1, Shane Steichen's not there. The offensive coordinator and the game plan has just not been nearly as good as it was last year. That's number 1. Number 2, the A.J. Brown stuff is very simple. He brought that on himself. You can't be animated on the locker room praising the fans and then get mad at them when you're not getting the ball or you're not winning football games. You have to put your head down, make your $23 million, and be okay with it. And the third thing, and stop posting the same, we still own the Eagles, put some respect on the Seahawks name. The Seahawks lost 4 straight games going into this football game. They're not a good team. We're playing bad. You can talk. You own the Eagles. Great job. You won a football game. You're 7-7. You're not going to win 10 games, and you're probably not going to make the playoffs. So that's cool. The bubble screens to Devontae Smith's sides are embarrassing. They're terrible, and I can't watch them anymore. Brian Johnson needs to be held accountable the same way Sean Desai was held accountable. That has to happen. You have 3 games to get right. You got New York, Arizona, New York. Neither one of these teams that they're going to play are good. They're not good football teams. You have to get right. Let's find out if Matt Patricia can get this team, this defense to continue to play well, and if Brian Johnson or Nick Sirianni or whoever can get this offense moving in the right direction. What did you see Monday night, Cottrell?
So I hate to be like the devil's advocate guy here, but I think, one, Bradbury, yes. I mean, he got cooked on a lot of routes. Like, he gave up those passes. But let's be honest here. The original pass to DK, that should have been an interception. And, I mean, if you want to put that on Bradbury for not catching the ball, then, I 100% understand that. But, like, that's good coverage there. The play where DK goes over the top in double coverage, that's a good ball by Drew Lock and a great play by DK. Like, I can't put all that on Bradbury. Now, I'm not saying Bradbury's not at fault here, but even the touchdown scoring play, I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba ran a great route. He got up on him very quick and then went by him. Like, it's still inexcusable, especially for a guy like James Bradbury and the caliber player that he is. But I just feel like he needs to he needs to get a little bit less slack. And then the other thing that I will say about just the game in general, the big takeaway for me was that the Eagles' play calling, it's not that it's just bad. It's bad. It's predictable. And I don't want to say Jalen Hurts regressed. They don't scheme plays open. So every throw, it has to be Jalen Hurts putting the ball on the money, and you're expecting your receiver to go out there and outrun somebody. That's not how you win football games. Last year, Jalen is a very accurate quarterback when things are open. If nothing's open, he's not the guy to, throw the needle and things like that. So you got to scheme stuff open, put him in a position to be successful.
So the last thing I want to say about this game before we wrap it up, before we flush it, because we got to move on to Jacksonville, Baltimore, and a couple other games that happened this past weekend, is if you're an Eagles fan complaining about a missed call on Quez Watkins or that his toe didn't touch the dirt, stop it. Knock it off. Stop blaming the officials. It's not the officials' fault the Eagles lost this football game. It's their own damn fault. Could they have called a PI on Quez Watkins? Sure. Could Quez have actually made an attempt to get to the ball? Yeah, I would have preferred that a little bit more. Did his toe touch? I don't know. Did it not touch? Are you sure it didn't touch? And even if it didn't touch, let's just say they got the call right or wrong, and the Eagles had one more play. They had 4 seconds from their own 46-yard line. Like, is that what we're arguing, that we would have won the game? Like, knock it off. It's not the official. This Eagles team needs to get together.
I will say, too, the one thing that I kind of disagree with as well, I'm okay with that jump ball to AJ. I do think it was a bad pass, but essentially the Seahawks ran the exact same thing to DK up the sideline. So if you want to talk about getting more yardage to get in field goal range, I get that. I do. But if you want to throw the best player, the best, weapon on your team, a jump ball, yes, it has to be better pass there, but I'm not mad at it in that situation because the Seahawks literally just did that to get down the field.
It can't be both, though. Like, it's fine. Like, if you want to throw the jump ball, then you got to throw the jump ball. I don't want excuses when these 35, 40-yard passes are constantly 6 yards short, because that's what they are. Yeah. He gave A.J. Brown no chance on that ball. A.J. Brown turned around and the safety was already catching the ball. You got to give your guy a shot at. And if you look at that play, Kenneth Gainwell is standing on the other numbers with nobody within 20 yards of him. and he goes right across Jalen's face. If Jalen throws him the ball, they're down to the 25 or the 30 with 8 seconds to go, and they're in field goal range. He flat out he just missed everything about that play.
I don't disagree.
I'm not going back into like all apologist mode. Like we did that with Carson. I'm not doing it with Jalen Hurts.
I'm not disagreeing with anything that you said there. My biggest thing though is that I can almost assure you that's not how that play was drawn up. They didn't tell Jalen to go out there and throw it to the flat. I'm sure they came on the huddle. They said, hey, we got to push the ball downfield, and that's just what we're going to do. Jalen didn't even go through any progressions. As soon as he got the ball, he knew exactly he was going to AJ in that situation. I can't say that itself is on Jalen. The pass itself, yes, absolutely, 110%. That's all on him.
Bro, you want to be an elite franchise quarterback? That's an excuse. I'm sorry. I can't accept that. If you want to be an elite franchise guy like everybody wants to crown Jalen Hurts as being, and you got a guy standing there 7 yards from you with nobody around him, you don't have to do anything. Your job as the quarterback of that offense is to get the ball down the field. It doesn't have to be on one play in a double coverage underthrown. It can be the check down to Kenneth Gainwell where he can run for 20 yards and nobody touch him. That's on Jalen Hurts and nobody else. You want to be the elite guy. You want to be the Aaron Rodgers. You want to be Patrick Mahomes. You got to learn to thread the needle. It shouldn't have to be schemed every single time.
I agree with you there.
Does the play calling suck? It does, and nobody's going to say anything different. But sometimes you want to be the elite franchise guy. Thread the goddamn needle. Throw the football. It can't be.
They called a shot play for AJ Brown. You can come off that shot play, especially the ball that went down the sideline that Jalen underthrew with Devontae Smith was wide open. It's the same thing. They called a shot play for AJ Brown, but as the quarterback of the team, you have to understand what defense they're playing. I can't. We got to get off. This is not an Eagles show. We'll talk a little bit more about it on Birds Deep tomorrow night if you want to listen in. The Jacksonville Jaguars played the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football. I want to start this conversation. I'm not sure if either one of you guys heard my take on this yet, and that's fine. I want to start this conversation by asking you 2 questions. Did you guys watch the football game?
Yes.
Okay. I want to grade for both quarterbacks on how you felt like they played. Forget anything else. Forget the game. Forget the teams. Because I watched it. I'll give you my opinion in a second. But I want to grade for Lamar Jackson on Sunday night. I want to grade for Trevor Lawrence on Sunday night. I know I'm setting you up here, but this is a setup. I'll give you a heads up. This is a setup.
I mean, I don't think – I mean, Trevor's fumble was historically bad, but, like, outside of that, I thought Trevor actually played well. But given how important that fumble was, I'd probably give Trevor a B- and I'd give Lamar a B. Like, I don't think either of them were great.
Okay. Shally?
Yeah, I don't think Lamar did anything, otherworldly. I think he protected the football, made plays when he had to, and kept his team moving down the field. I mean, he didn't do anything, special.
Facts.
I mean, I don't think you can get anything higher than a B. I think Trevor Lawrence, like C plus. Like I don't think he's the reason they lost the game per se, but he's. Again, I'm not going to say he regressed, but he's stalled out. He's not better this year than he was last year.
I have way more faith in your football acumen to watch a football game and understand what you're watching than to give this type of analysis. I have way more faith in you two than to do that. Bozak, who's a listener, has the correct grade. And I'm explaining to you why, right? The fumble was terrible. That's why he gets an A-. The fumble was terrible by Trevor Lawrence. It was terrible. Why did we fumble the football? Why? Okay, let's go through it. It was a drop pass on first down. Drop pass on first down. Hold on. No. Drop touchdown on second down. 5-yard offsides penalty on third down. They had 3rd and 17. He tried making a play, fumbled the ball. That's on him. Dumb play. He was throwing the ball to Zay Jones, who dropped it. He threw the ball. I forget the guy's name. Riley something. Drops the ball at the 6-yard line. It's crazy. I looked this stat up today. When you look up his QBR, where do you think he ranks this season out of 32 quarterbacks. And I use QBR a ton. I think because QBR tells the story of what it should have happened if they didn't drop the football, if there wasn't a penalty on the play. They take all that into account, right? Like if there's a penalty, it didn't matter. Like a guy, illegal hands to the face on the left side of the field, and there was a touchdown on the right side of the field. And then the next play, they have to kick a field goal. That's what QBR takes in effect. Where do you think Trevor Lawrence ranks in the NFL? And 7th's a little high. He's not 7th. 12th is not.
I literally would have said.
I probably would have said
10.
I would have just said 10.
He's 9th. 9th in football. Do you know what he's number 1 in?
I don't know. What is he number 1 in, Gene?
Yards per play that he lost due to penalties. 6.9 yards per play. It's 1.3 yards per play higher than any other quarterback in football. If you watch that football game, he threw darts that were dropped. There were penalties. And then I listened to Chris Collinsworth talk about Lamar Jackson. What a play by Lamar Jackson. He threw a double coverage ball to a backup tight end, and Isaiah Likely came down at the 3-yard line, and I thought Chris Collinsworth was going to give him Academy Award. It was a bad play. He threw the ball across his body to the other side of the field into double coverage and got lucky. And they're like, what a play. Here's an amazing play by Lamar Jackson. I'm like, what are you watching? My head almost exploded.
It's funny that Trevor Lawrence is getting all these excuses. All of a sudden.
You beat me too.
What are the excuses? I'm not making excuses.
You just made a whole list of them.
It's not excuses.
It was an excuse. It was an excuse when anybody dropped the ball for Herbert.
Let me ask you a question. Hold on. Let me ask you a question.
7 points.
I'm saying.
I don't care about the penalties.
Different now.
He didn't score 7 points. The team scored 7 points. I'm using your own logic against you.
That's the problem. Here we are.
It fits your narrative. Exactly. For your boy, Trevor Lawrence, it fits your narrative, so now it's okay. When it's your Herbert and it's not your boy, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what Quentin Johnson drops 3 drive extending balls in one drive and they can't kick a field goal. That's all Justin Herbert. It's Justin Herbert's fault when they scored a goal with 3 minutes to go and the other team goes right down the field and scores on the worst defense in the NFL.
And guess
That's
what?
Justin Herbert's fault. Oh, but the offensive tackle, false start. Oh, God, Trevor Lawrence. Oh, my God.
Guy, hold on.
It's exhausting.
Hang on 1 second. You can be exhausted all you want.
I'm in a good mood. Merry Christmas. Let's move the hell on.
No, I'm going to ask you one question. and we're going to move on. And I want you to answer honestly. Does he have a top 10 receiving core?
Who?
The Jacksonville Jaguars. Do they have a top 10 receiving core?
Top 10? No, it's probably fringe.
Top 10 offensive line. The answer is they're 24th. I'll help you.
Okay.
Top 10 defense.
No.
Top 10 running back.
Yes.
Yeah, probably.
I think he's 11th. I would be okay with him being a 10. He's 10th or 11th. He's right there. There's 10 running backs in the league that are better than him when everyone's healthy. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about throughout the year. There's 10 running backs better than him. The answer is yes. Do they have a top 10 record? The answer is yes. The guy has not one positional player that's top 10 at their position, and they have a top 10 record in the league. He wins.
That's fine. Receiving core as it sits right now. Who's got a better receiving core overall?
Between who?
Herbert and Lawrence.
Well, Herbert does.
No, he doesn't.
100%. Nobody. There's Keenan Allen.
You told me before the year.
Calvin Ridley and then Zay and Christian Kirk
are better. And Christian Kirk's out.
Zay's better than
Mike Williams has been out since week 2.
Christian Kirk's out. What's your point?
Overall, Jacksonville's better. Who's got the better offensive line? Jacksonville.
100% the Chargers.
Who's got the better defense?
The Chargers.
They're the worst ranked defense in every category in the NFL.
I'm not talking about
31st or
ranking.
32nd.
I'm talking about their player.
No, you can't. See, you can't do that because you brought up ranking with 24. You said 24.
You literally just went through your
offensive line is terrible.
But you put ranking there, though. You can't go ranking there and then pick and choose like when you go.
You're right. That's fair. The defense I'd have to give to Jacksonville this year. But the players, I would rather coach the players on the Chargers than I would the players on Jacksonville.
I don't disagree with you there. I'm just saying Trevor's getting a little bit too much benefit of the doubt for how much hate we've been throwing Herbert's way. That's all.
That's fair.
Yeah.
My argument is
if you weren't so much anti-Herbert, I would agree with everything you just said about Lawrence. Because most of it's true. Most of it's true, but you can't say it's good for Herbert or
I'm not anti-Herbert. My point is he was 5-8. And one guy's 8-5 and the other guy's 5-8. That's my issue.
Yeah, because Jacksonville's a better football team. They have a better
I don't think they are.
Ugh.
I think they're better coach.
When they get a better coach.
That's fine, but that's not where we're at right now. That's not reality of where we sit right now. Yeah, if they go hire somebody next year that knows what the hell they're doing, yeah, I agree with you. I think you'll see a different team. I think you'll see a different Justin Herbert. But you can't make that statement right now because that's not where we're at.
I said Jacksonville's a better coach. They're a better coach football team. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are the second most talent in the NFL, but they don't play like it.
The other thing
right
too
now.
is that Lamar,
they have the second most talent in the NFL. The Eagles.
Would you say Lamar had a B game though, Gene?
A B, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't go as high as A-. I know a lot of stuff that happened in that game wasn't Lawrence's fault, but I mean, at the end of the day, they didn't put points up on the board, and that fumble was big. Again, not all his fault, but I can't give him an A-
two negative grades. I gave him two negative grades in the entire game. One of it, he should have spiked the ball at the 3-yard line at the end of the first half. I thought that was a negative play. I would even be fine if he threw it out of the end zone, like gave a receiver a chance. But to throw that out play was a bad play. And the second was the fumble.
Not gonna lie to you. That's not. I don't. The thing that I feel like a lot of people don't realize, that's not coming from Lawrence. I know he can override Doug Peterson there, but at that point, Doug Peterson is in his helmet. He's telling him what to do there. I know you have to throw the ball out of bounds. I get it. But you don't call that play there. Like, everybody knows you should spike the ball there. Like, they called that play. That was a design play. Like, I can't put that all on Lawrence.
I don't think you can throw that out, though. You can't throw that out.
Agreed. But why call it, though? If you don't want to run the play, why call it?
By the way, I do want to talk about.
You could call it if you don't like the look. You just don't throw it. Like
my lock of the century hit, though. We don't talk about that. My lock of the century, the Detroit Lions. I said Detroit Lions. I said they win by 25 points. They won by exactly 25 points. I said they have the number. They're going to run the football down Denver's throat, and they absolutely did that. My lock of the century. That was my lock of the year. We got to move forward. Let's talk about this upcoming week. We have 3 games to get into this week. We can talk about 5. We can really talk about a couple others, but there's 3 main football games this week. Like, we can give our opinions on the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans and, like, give 2 teams that won't sniff the second round of the playoffs a conversation. And that's fair. We can do that if you want. We could talk about.
Don't throw shade. Don't throw shade because you're about to be wrong and your bet's not going to cash.
My bet is not going to cash, and it's because Joe Flacco is killing me right now. Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, 2 of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL, both had Cleveland on the ropes, and Joe Flacco beat them both, and that drives me nuts. So yes, I will be throwing my shade. Shade has been thrown.
Because I tell you what, if we have to see the winner of the AFC South, I like our chances there.
If you play the winner of the AFC South in their house, you're losing.
We'll see.
Okay, we will. You will see a big fat
loss. We know what Trevor Lawrence might show up in the. We just don't know.
All right. Well, we got Dallas at Miami as game of the week. We'll go over that one third. Which one do you want to hit first, Cottrell?
We just talked about it. Might as well start with the Browns.
Okay. Browns, Houston. Yuck City. Maybe no CJ Stroud. You got Joe Flacco. I think Houston wins the football game. I'm going to pick against Cleveland every single week I can because I want to be right eventually. I covered the spread with the 3.5 with Chicago. Chicago blew a 10-point lead, had that game won. Justin Fields did what typical Ohio State quarterbacks do. Fold it when the game was on the line. That's what happened. And by the way, Darnell Mooney dropping that Hail Mary has to be the worst.
It's Justin Fields' fault that Darnell Mooney dropped the.
No,
it's
Justin I'm a Justin Fields guy.
Tunyon dropped the 80-yard touchdown earlier in the game. Justin gets all the slack. But that's okay.
I love Justin Fields. I think he played well for the majority of the game, if I'm being honest. I think the one touchdown pass he threw to Cole Kmet was absolutely insanity.
Nuts. Yeah.
That shows how special the kid could be. But what are your thoughts on Browns Texans, Shally?
I think it's going to be. I mean, I don't want to call it yuck. I mean, I think it's going to.
It's yuck.
It's going to be a low scoring game.
You can call it yuck. That's what it is.
I don't want to say yuck. I'm picking it, but I don't want to call it yuck. I mean, it's not going to be the most visually appealing game ever. It's not going to be high score.
That's a great way to say it. Visually appealing.
It is not going to be a high scoring game. If you like defense and 3 and outs and all that stuff, this is the game you should probably tune into. I think it'll be a hard fought game. But, like I said, I'm going to pick it. But I don't think if you have anybody on fantasy in this game, you should probably bench them because they are probably not going to help you. Sit back and enjoy the 3 yards in a cloud of dust because that's what you're going to get a lot of.
Kachal, you're picking the Browns, correct?
Yeah, I got the Browns here. If C.J. Stroud was playing, if C.J. Stroud plays the way the line moves, it does what he's going to play. If somehow he clears protocol on Saturday and plays, I do like Houston to win that football game. But as it stands right now, I got the Browns. I do think it's going to be obviously, a yuck game. I like the term yuck. Kind of gives me I just feel like, the AFC North is very yucky this time of year. You get a lot of the 13-10, 16-13, those kinds of games. I think this is going to be, somewhat of the same line. I think with the way our secondary is playing right now, we are the one spot that we're actually healthy is in with our corners right now. I think they're going to be able to do a good job with Houston's core, especially without Tank Dell out there. And on the other side, I mean, you just
how does Houston actually win this football game if C.J. Stroud doesn't play? I don't think they can. Their defense
scores 17 points,
like 14.
If you score 17 points, you're going to probably win this football game.
I don't know how Houston scores. I don't know how they score.
Case Keenum, Tank Dell's season. Nico is still. I mean, even if Nico plays, he's not going to be 100%. I mean, I don't know. I just don't know how Dalton Schultz has been banged up all year. I mean, he's playing on probably 70% at best. I don't know how they're going to move the ball against Cleveland's defense. I really don't.
All right, well, let's get into Dallas versus Miami because we got the game of the year coming up next. Dallas is going to Miami to play the Dolphins. I think Cheetah's going to play. I think he sat out last week. Precautionary. It looks like he's trending towards playing. Dallas
gave his ankle some rest. Had another kid. It's great.
1.5.
Godfrey, it is in Houston.
It's in Houston.
It is in Houston. 1.5 point spread. Miami's a 1.5 point favorite. Miami is clearly a better football team when they play at home. Outside of Monday Night Football versus the Titans, they're a better football team when they play at home. The snap count, the motions, they hit better. Dallas is a team that defensively plays very well into what Miami does well. I actually think Dallas wins this football game. I hate to say it. I would love for Miami to win this football game. But I think Dallas plays really well into what Miami does. Dallas plays a matchup zone defense. They've always played that. It's been their staple. So they'll match up versus the guy that's on the outside or the inside, so the zone doesn't affect them. They have a pass rush to get after Tua and move him off his spot, and they have an offense that should be able to move the football versus Miami. Does Dak get it back this week? Or does Miami's defense slow him down? I'll take the Cowboys by 7.
I think it's interesting. I think it's actually an interesting matchup on both sides of the ball. I do agree with you. I think Tyreek plays. I don't think he's gonna be 100%, but they'll give him the shot of the good juice before and tape him. I mean, him at 90% is still pretty much faster than everybody else in the league. Miami, listen, they have to. Hate to say it, they have to be. I think Mike McDonald's got to call a really good game. I think if he can keep that Dallas defense off balance and run when they think they're going to throw and vice versa, then I think they have a shot to stay in that game at home. It's a battle of two teams that really haven't beat anybody, with a winning record. I mean, minus the Dallas game against us. Dallas does not play well away from home. They're not going to have 10 days to prepare for this game either, especially, with the holidays coming up. It's interesting. I mean, Gene's point is the one thing that sticks out to me. If you can get to off his spot and not let him take just those three-step drops and throw the ball to Hill and Waddle and all those guys and get pressure on them, that is when stuff starts to break down exponentially for Miami and bad throws are had. And Dallas has a very opportunistic defense on the back end, especially with the way Gilmore's playing right now. Can they get a chain and all those guys running the ball? I think they can. And I think Miami's front is definitely good enough, especially with a banged up Dallas line now too, to get pressure on Dak. I think it's going to be a really, really fun football
Also, look ahead game for Miami. Their big game versus Baltimore's next week. I know you can't really look ahead of Dallas. By the way, got to take a second. Eric Rosenblum sent 1,000 stars. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate everything that you do for the podcast. We want to wish you and your family the happiest of holidays also. So thank you.
Happy holidays, Eric. I think it's going to be a hell of a football game. I really do. And I hate to say it. I mean, if it comes down to intangibles and stuff like that, I think Mike McDonald's going to outcoach Mike McCarthy. If you maybe put money down one way or the other.
But does Mike McDaniel outcoach Mike McCarthy? That's the real question.
Man,
I'm kidding.
I think Miami squeaks one out. I really do.
I would love that. I hope you're right. Cottrell, tell me he's right.
Yeah, I got Miami in this one as well. I think the one thing you said, Dallas's defense, they do a lot of things that can slow down what Miami does. I think the flip side of that is Dallas has a very aggressive defense. And so when you have guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle that can blow by you, I think Stephon Gilmore is going to do his job. But I think this is a game where they really try and pick on Deron Bland. I think the way that he plays football is very similar to what we saw with, Trevon Diggs that year that he had all those interceptions. He's going to jump the earlier routes. And, if you hit him with double moves and you have time to protect him, then I think that's going to be the way you beat this Cowboys defense. The other thing that I think is kind of telling right now is that you saw the game plan last week, and I know the Dolphins don't have a traditional run game, but I do think Dallas has some holes, obviously in their rush defense. So I think Miami will be able to move the ball in this game. And then on the flip side of it, I do think Dallas will also be able to score. I got to be in a higher scoring game, but I think Miami wins this one by like a touchdown.
By the way, I left this comment up for Steven Chambers. Steven, we love you. We really appreciate everything that you contribute to the chat. This matchup won't happen, unfortunately, because CeeDee Lamb plays primarily out of the slot and Jalen Ramsey doesn't travel to the slot. I think that's a matchup designed for Dallas to hide CeeDee Lamb from the top cornerbacks in the league, and it works out really well. It's the same reason why Cooper Kupp had that unbelievable Triple Crown season is the matchup design leads Dallas to put CeeDee Lamb in the slot.
I will say, though, I mean, Jalen can play in the slot. Like, I think if –
he doesn't, though.
I know he doesn't, but he definitely – like, he's a versatile corner enough to play in the slot. I think if CD has a huge first half, I do think that could be an adjustment that Miami makes.
And they do play CD out wide sometimes, too. So, I mean –
very rarely.
It is. I'm just saying, like, you're definitely going to see it a couple times. I mean,
it's not going to be 5-6 dropbacks out of 30.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, game of the week. Real game of the week, game of the year right now. You have the number one seed in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens, and the number one seed in the NFC, probably the best team in football, the San Francisco 49ers. Games in Frisco, Christmas Day. Is Lamar's elusive nature too much for the San Fran pass rush? I'll start there.
For me, this game is very easy. I like the 49ers here. And to be honest, I like them very comfortably. I think with the way that they rush the passer, they have guys that are also smart about rushing the passer. So I do think they are going to be able to contain the pocket. Now, of course, Lamar is going to be able to make his plays here and there. But I like the way that San Francisco is going to be able to get after him. The other thing, too, is that this is going to be the first week without Keaton Mitchell. And I know the name itself isn't, anything crazy, but he was their other big play
injury, man.
He was their other, big play guy in the Russian attack. So you don't have him. You don't have, obviously, Mark Andrews won't be there. I just think it's going to be tough to beat the 49ers without having explosive plays, and I don't think Lamar can do it on his own. So I like the 49ers here, and I like them big.
Godfrey, you know me too well. You know me too well that I'm going to get into that. I'm asking the question, very simple, is Lamar Jackson's elusivity too much for the 49ers pass rush? Shally?
No. I actually fall on the side of this pretty much what Cottrell does. I think, I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to be shut down the whole game. I think he'll make plays here and there. I think the wide receiving core for Baltimore is going to have a hard time getting a lot of separation from the corners on San Fran. And I think the front seven is going to be able to kind of do their thing and play instinctively. And I think it's going to be a long night for Baltimore. I think it's a lower scoring game than I think people are probably expecting. So I do think Baltimore's defense will take certain things away from Shanahan and Purdy and all those guys. I still think C-Mac has a really big game. And I think maybe it's not a Deebo Samuel night. Maybe it's a Kittle night. Maybe it's a Brandon Ayuk night. I think one of those guys has a big night, though. I think Shanahan figures it out. And I agree with Cottrell. I think this is on just first glance and gut instinct. I think this is an easier pick for me. I think San Fran wins at home, and I think it's rather convincing.
This is one of my picks, so I won't get too far into my opinion until I give it. But question for you guys both. How does Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, the two leaders in the clubhouse, in my opinion, for MVP, handle the Ravens defense? Now that Ravens defense is elite, that Kyle Hamilton is next level. The guy's everywhere. Roquan Smith is the best linebacker in football. Your thoughts?
I'll double down on what I've said before. I think C-Mac's the more valuable player, and I think you're going to see it Sunday. I think Shanahan knows there's certain spots he's not going to put Brock Purdy into. I think this is a game where C-Mac might touch the ball 35, 40 times, and I mean that. I think they're going to run the ball. I think he'll catch a lot of balls out of the backfield. Again, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. This isn't going to be a San Fran game where they put up 35 like they have been on everybody else. It's not going to happen against this Baltimore defense. It's going to be more slow, methodical, plotting drives, like 10-play drives to get 3 points sometimes. It's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be a very, very high-level, elite-level type talent on the field football game. But I think C-Mac is going to be the difference maker. I think Purdy will make his safe throws, and Shanahan won't put him in a lot of spots where he's going to have to do crazy things or possibly turn the ball over a lot and change momentum of the game. I think it's a big C-Mac game. I really do.
Well, let's get into NFL pick'em, gentlemen.
And then just real quick here, I did want to just throw something else in there. I think with the way Kyle Shanahan is, I don't think it's going to be necessarily too much for Brock Purdy. I think Purdy's going to know exactly what the game plan is coming in. And I think he's very good at picking his spots. So I don't think he's not going to go out there and try to be Superman. He knows, what's around him. Very smart, and he's been throwing the ball great. So I don't think the Ravens D won't be too much for Kyle Shanahan. So in turn, it won't be too much for Brock Purdy.
I get it. Let's get into NFL pick'em. Got a lot left in the show, gentlemen. And here we are down the stretch. After a 3-0 week, I can't say I'm statistically in the lead. That's Shally. But the most wins here. So, Shally, being that you're still mathematically ahead, what's the order?
What did we do last week?
I went first. Cottrell went second. You went third.
I'll let Cottrell go first. Let Gene go second. And I'll go third.
Switching it up on us?
Yep.
A little bit?
I go 3-0, and he just makes me move. That's fine.
It's crazy. It's crazy, right?
I get it.
So I'll give my picks here. First game, I like the
spot.
First game, I like the Jags to rebound. I like the Jags plus 1.5 versus the Bucs this year. Look, I know the Bucs are a 7-7 football team, but I think the Jags losing the way they did last week, I do think they are going to respond. They just got to basically drive up the road to face that Bucs team. And the other thing is that the Bucs this year, they have not beaten a team over 500. So I do like that trend to continue. Second game, I like the Dolphins minus 1.5 versus the Cowboys. I already, gave you the breakdown earlier in the game, and I truly feel like that's a game where Miami will be able to pick their spots and score enough to win by more than 1.5 points there. Then the last game I got, give me the under 34.5 Pats at Broncos. I think right now with the way that, Denver's offense has looked, Bill Belichick will have a game plan specifically for Russell Wilson. Those guys will struggle. And with the Pats offense, I don't know what Patriots offense I'm going to get. Bailey Zappi might go out there and score 3 touchdowns, but, if Hunter Henry's not catching touchdown passes, then they might score 10 points in that one. So I like the under 34.5 points up in Mile High.
Okay. Here's my 3. I'm gonna lead off and tag team you. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars plus 1.5 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I agree with you. I think that Doug Peterson and the boys bounce back. The Jaguars take a stranglehold of the AFC South after this win. I'll take the Jags plus 1.5 over Tampa. Second game. This game does not make sense to me. I'll take the Colts plus 1 over Atlanta. Atlanta opened the week as a 3-point favorite. 68% of the money is on Atlanta. It's now Atlanta minus 1. I don't know what they're trying to do. The Colts are the better football team. I'll take the Colts to be able to run the football. Shane Steichen. I don't care who's a quarterback for Atlanta. Now it's back to Taylor Heineke. Give me the Colts plus 1 over Atlanta. And for my game of the week, I'll give you the game of the week. I love the San Francisco 49ers minus 5.5 over Baltimore. I don't understand how they don't cover the spread. They're the better football team. Baltimore is coming off of 2 games in which they basically escaped. I wouldn't say they escaped versus Jacksonville, but the game was close. The week prior, the Rams had them against the ropes. I think they travel across the country, and San Francisco sends them home with a mean Christmas present. I'll take the 49ers minus 5.5 at home versus Baltimore.
All right. I'm going to start in Houston. I'm going to go Cleveland minus 2.5 on the road. Unfortunately, again, I think if CJ Stroud plays, I think it's a completely different football game. Houston is hanging, I don't want to say hanging on for dear life, but I mean, they're right in the thick of the AFC South division race. But they are banged up, man. CJ Stroud is not going to play. We were talking about Tank being out for the year. Nico Collins is not going to be 100%. Dalton Schultz is not going to be 100%. They've not been able to run the ball consistently. I think Cleveland's defense is going to have a day. I think it's a low-scoring game. Joe Flacco probably throws at least 1 ball to Houston, maybe 2, but he probably throws 2 touchdown passes too. I like Cleveland minus 2.5. Second game, I agree with both you guys. We just talked about it. I got San Fran minus 5.5 at home. I think they're the better football team. I don't think anybody's playing better football on the planet right now than the San Francisco 49ers. They're just hot. Everything's working. I think Purdy, Shanahan, C-Mac, all those guys, I think they just get it done. I think Baltimore just doesn't have enough offensively to go stride for stride with that San Francisco offense. I like San Fran there. And then apparently the game that's going to decide probably who's in first next week. I'm going Tampa Bay minus 1.5 at home. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to play, even if he does. Got to give Baker Mayfield credit. He's having a hell of a year. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are getting going again with them both being healthy. Jacksonville's secondary has been atrocious. I think they're going to be able to throw the ball. Rashad White's looked like a different guy the last couple of weeks. At home, God hate to say it, I think Tampa Bay wins against the underachieving Jacksonville Jaguars. The team was minus 500 to win the division at the beginning of the year. They're tied for first right now with 3 weeks to go. Just not playing good football right now. If Trevor Lawrence plays, obviously it's a different story, but I don't think he's going to play. He's still in protocol. Can't even do off-the-side drills or anything yet, so not the best of news come Wednesday night, but obviously 3 days to go. But I think Tampa Bay covers minus 1.5.
Well, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, I will post another pick that will not be my official pick. I'm picking it with the assumption that Trevor Lawrence is playing. If he does not play, I will be posting a different pick.
Yeah, and I'll give you guys my alternate pick too, because obviously I'll be gone
on the boat.
Well, my alternate pick, I can just tell you guys right now, my alternate pick is another game I like. And it's the Tennessee Titans plus 2.5 at home versus Seattle. So if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, that is my alternate.
Control.
Putting me on the spot here, I would say my alternate would be.
Post it, bro. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to give it to me.
Okay.
All right, let's get into college football bowl mania. How many of you guys have signed up for bowl mania? Because our bowl mania standings are now here. And look at that. Uncle Shally, Key, always go Vols deep. I'm guessing that's my main man, the man, the myth,
Jeffers.
the legend, Joseph Jeffers. Key, Eric Rosenblum, College Cottrell, ESPN fan, and then just little old me, Philly Killers. We're all 7-2, 88.7%. Fun question for you guys. What 2 games did you lose? Do you remember?
I lost the Miami Ohio game, and crap.
I lost the first game. I had Georgia Southern to beat Ohio. And then after that, I basically went nuts. And then I lost with the Cal Golden Bears. I thought they would beat Texas Tech.
I lost
the Raging Cajun, I know. The Raging Cajun, I know, was one of my losses. And I also lost the New Mexico State game.
Well, Jet ski state of mind. Somebody's 4-0, just picking winners. Nothing like picking winners. 4-0. Love it. Sign up. You still can sign up. Get your picks up there. You don't have to pick every single game. Obviously, to win, you have to pick every game. You have to get the points. But you don't have to pick every single game to win. You could pick, if you go 10-0 right now, next 10 games, you could have more points than other people here. You don't have to pick every single game to get the points. It's 10 points per win. You're obviously behind the 8 ball right now, but sign up for Bowl Mania. Now, guys, let's talk a little bit about college football. I'm going to admit to you guys something I admitted before the show. I've not watched a single bowl game. Not one. Not a single bowl game. I don't care about Appalachian State. I don't care about the Hilltoppers. It's not that I don't care. I've just been watching and doing other things. I've been ingrained in the NBA regular season. I'm working a ton. It is the holiday season. And NFL is king right now. So what I ask of you two gentlemen is to recap and give me some updates. What was your favorite bowl so far? And what is the bowl game that we can look forward to in this upcoming week?
Well, I think Cottrell's probably going to agree with me on what the best game was, which was the
I'll go with the other
Street Bowl. Okay. The Western Kentucky Old Dominion game was nuts. There was a point where Old Dominion was up 28-0 at one point. Lost the game 38-35 on a walk-off field goal. Western Kentucky was down 21 at half. Amazing comeback. It was one of those bowl games that had everything. Had drama, had crazy plays. It's just one of those games that's fun to watch. Just a whole bunch of kids that you don't know who they are. Just, bunch of guys that know they're never going to play football again. And just watch them ball out and play for each other. And then you have a kicker that never attempted a field goal before coming to kick a walk-off field goal. So that was just batty, man. Just batty. It's what makes Bowl Mania fun.
And then for me, the other one that was crazy as well was the game that also ended up going into overtime, and that was Jacksonville State versus Louisiana. So Louisiana actually had a chance to potentially win that game in regulation. They got the ball back late. They were driving. They got to, I want to say it was like maybe the 50-yard line, and they had about 40 to 50 seconds left. And Jacksonville State, I got to give them credit. They went all-out blitz, 3 straight plays, backed them up and forced the game in overtime. And then ultimately, they stopped them. Louisiana had the ball first, and they stopped them, went down, and then kicked the game-winning field goal. So for Jacksonville State, that's actually a really great win for that program because recently they were in an FCS program. So, huge bowl win for them for sure. And, that was just another one of the exciting bowl games. Anytime you get a bowl game to go to overtime, it's going to be good stuff.
I will be watching much more bowl games in upcoming weeks, including Christmas, the day after Christmas, the 26th. There's 3 games. I always watch games after Christmas. And then the 27th, right before our show, the one I'm looking forward to is North Carolina, West Virginia in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. So I will be watching more, but just haven't got into it yet.
So I know you guys may even talk about it on the show next week because it'll be going on during the show. Louisville versus USC is the game that interests me. Obviously not because Caleb Williams is playing, I'm curious to see who they roll out there at quarterback and if it makes enough of an impression on that USC team to not go get somebody in the transfer portal.
I mean, I don't think they have a choice. I mean, they lost the 5-star kid that had come in last year. He's in the portal. I mean, it's been a revolving door out in Southern Cal since the season ended. They've had a whole bunch of talent walk out. I'm actually curious to see who ends up taking the field. If I'm being 100% honest, there's a lot of guys that I think are going to be potentially playing for spots next year.
That's why it interests me.
They got to come up with better names for some of these bowl games, though.
Well, I mean, it's the sponsors, man.
I get it.
Talks.
Do better. The 68 Ventures Bowl. I don't care.
Let's
somebody's
gather all of our coin and make a Wire2Wire bowl.
Yeah, we need a Wire2Wire bowl. That sounds better than 68 Ventures. Am I right?
It does, but we would probably have like crap alliances, though.
No, I don't care. I don't care what our alliances. We could get the 5th place team in the Sun Belt, match them up with the last team that was eligible for bowl season. Like, I don't care. We sponsor a bowl game, I'm in.
Anything else we want to talk about college football before we get into UFC?
Nah, we got like another week to go before it really actually a week and a half really before it really starts getting interesting.
Are you gentlemen doing a show Saturday?
That one way or the other. I mean, we got to talk about it when we get done here tonight, but there will be some kind of content.
The show will go on.
The show will go on one way or the
Control
other.
will be on a boat, so I don't think Control's doing a show. Well, I will say this. If you get an opportunity to tune in to Coast, I know this week might be a lighter week, but next week, going into the biggest bowls of the season, you got to tune in. Coast to Coast. They're the best college football show in the nation.
See, this week will be a little bit fun because, yes, it is a little bit lighter. Obviously, previewing the bowl games, but you just had national, signing day or the early, national letter of intent happened today. So a lot of the, recruits signed on the dotted line for the 2024 class, and you had some big flips in, Oregon. I'm sure Alex he can't wait to shout some of those guys out. Oregon did a great job recruiting, so I'm sure we'll touch on that on the show on Saturday as well.
All right, well, we'll talk about that later on Coast to Coast on Saturday. We're going to move into a little UFC recap because we had a fun UFC card to go over. So
until the main event.
Well, hey, listen, the card was fun, and I was kind of happy what happened in the main event. I didn't get a chance to see it live, right? I was doing something Saturday night, had a great time, but Monday morning, I watched all the fights. Okay, I tuned in, watched every single fight to go back. What happened? Number one, I'm going to start something. As much as I love David Goggins, Tony Ferguson needs to hang it up. That's it. Done. He's done. Dana White said in the post presser, "This is it for you, dude." Like, I
would like for Tony to retire. I would like for Tony to retire. And then Tony came out on social media, doubled down, and was like, "Still got a lot left in the tank, This is just a bump in the road for us."
He is the proverbial step slower in everything now, and it shows. He's not going to be able to beat anybody on the elite level. It's just he is that half a second behind on defense, on throwing a punch, on trying to catch a kick. I really hope somebody gets in his ear and just goes, you have an amazing legacy that you left and everything else. Just you need to be done. You need to be done before something really bad does happen in the cage, and that's how people remember you. Like, just it's time to walk away.
I will say, though, for what it's worth, Patty looked so much better than his last performance. And I get it. It was against Tony. But I do want to give Patty some credit because all, week he had been talking about how he heard all of the negative noise after his last fight about how he was overrated and things like that. And you could tell that he definitely took it personal. And, he worked on his craft. Like, he looked like a better fighter, not just because he dominated Tony, but what he was doing out there, it looked like he's in a much better spot than the last time we saw him in the cage.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I will say that there was 2 other fights on the card that we got to talk about before we get into the co-main event and the main. Bryce Mitchell versus Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett
my
knocked
God.
him into another planet. Only 2 punches landed in the entire fight. That's all that needed to be landed. Josh Emmett sent Bryce Mitchell home early.
Oh,
Sent them to the shadow realm. And I will say, even though I fully understand it was an ESPN pay-per-view and they let them say whatever, do whatever, they show everything. I was very surprised for them to show Bryce Mitchell in the cage seizing the way that he was, because I say that everybody was kind of treating it like it was, a normal kind of thing. Like even the announcers, like DC was like, yeah, he's seasoned, like no big deal. But like I felt like that could have been something a lot bigger than what it ended up being. So I will say I was surprised to see that aspect of it.
I think for those guys that are around it, 24/7, I don't think it's probably that uncommon. I think it's, I don't disagree with you. I understand what you're saying. I just think for DC and Rogan and all those guys that have seen it so often, they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna be fine in like 7 seconds. Whereas like the rest of us are like, oh, that dude's dying. Like it's just it's a whole different perspective on what they're watching. But I get it. I mean, I was shocked. I agree with you a little bit that they did show it as much as they did. I thought they were at least just pan off and look at Josh. But I mean, it's part of the game. It's what happens. You get hit that hard. I mean, that's another level. I saw somebody on Twitter said, never seen somebody get hit so hard they develop epilepsy in 1 second. It was crazy. I mean, I don't think anybody saw that coming. Not like that.
And then Shavrat versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. The first round, it looked like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson was going to be in that fight. Kind of pieced him up a little bit. Hit him with a couple shots.
Yeah.
Second round, Shavrat got him on the ground. Full control. And rear naked choked him. And absolutely just dominated on the ground. I thought that was...
Go ahead, Jay. I was going to just say, for what it's worth, I mean, I think Shavkat won the first round. Like Stephen Thompson definitely got.
No, but it looked competitive. Did not look like it was going to.
No. Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah, for sure.
I give Shavkat the first round, but I thought it would be a little bit more dominant of a first round, and it wasn't. Like judging by the odds on the fight, the role that Shavkat's been on, it looked like it was going to be a competitive fight.
To me, I was fully expecting that first round to look something like that, because I even said it on the show last week. Shavkat fights like a literal robot. He will understand exactly what you're doing, and then that second and third round, he is going to, figure out where he can take his spots, and he's going to pounce. Like, I think it's crazy, because I know we're going to get there soon, because we're about to talk about the main event here, but Shavkat is so exciting to watch as a fighter. I can't wait to see what his trajectory is in that division.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of the up and comers. And again, I think we kind of nailed it on the show last week. And I even said it. Wonder Boy, wins a lot of fights because he's awkward, and that's kind of what the first round was. I think Shavkat still won the round. I agree with both you guys, but to Gene's point, like Steven was, Wonder Boy was doing what he normally does, and he was in the fight, and then went back to the corner. They came out, and they were like, "Dude, like just do this, and that," and it became very procedural after that, which was a little bit shocking to me. That it was. I don't want to say that he rolled over that easily, but he made it look a lot easier than it should for a fighter of Wonder Boy's caliber.
And yes, Derek Dempsey, he did tear ligaments in his leg, almost pulled out, but ultimately didn't. And that's the performance that he put out.
Not a bad performance for tearing ligaments.
No, and you always get bonus points for stuff like that with Dana. So
I want to read you, because I think it's funny. I'm going to read you the CompuBox stats for the Brandon Royval and Alexander Pantoja fight. Total strikes, 390 thrown for Royval, 195 for Pantoja. Total strikes landed, 281 for Royval, 126 landed. Significant strikes, 111 for Royval, 95 for Pantoja. Head strikes, 108 for Royval, 49 for Pantoja. I'm kind of 5-0 Pantoja. Oh, 8 takedowns, 15 minutes of ring control. I get it. But like if you looked at the CompuBox stats, like the box stats of that fight without watching it, you'd be like, what happened here? And I got to give Brandon Royval all the credit in the world. The guy's throwing from his back. Instead of getting up, he's just throwing punches. He threw 390 punches and spent 15 minutes on his back. Like, I was amazed.
Yeah, I will say this. I mean, the kid fought like he knew it was like maybe the last chance he gets a shot at the belt. I mean, other than takedown defense, I would say he left it all in the cage. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that kid didn't stop fighting for 25 minutes. And that's something you love to see as a fan. And I mean, even if you're, a Dana White or something like that, like I said, I don't think you can put him back in the cage, for another title shot as long as he has the belt. But that kid fought, man. That kid went in there and was like, I'm going out this way. And like I said, as a fan, you have to love that. I mean, he was on his back and was just like, I'm just going to keep throwing punches. I'm not going to sit here and just let this guy ride me around the mat, octagon for 15 minutes. Like, went out swinging, dude. Got to love it. I mean, throw 300 punches in a 25-minute fight against an elite caliber fighter like that it's impressive. It definitely is. He's just Pantoja. He's just too much. He's just a little bit better overall and everything, and it just showed.
The other interesting thing about that division is that we are finally about to see. Gene, you mentioned it last week about Albazi not being in this fight. Well, you're going to get Amir Albazi versus Brandon Moreno, and Dana basically said that's the number one contenders match. Whoever wins that fight, that's who Pantoja is going to see next in the cage. So that fight's going to be awesome. It's happening in Mexico City, Brandon Moreno's backyard. So that's a fight that I very much look forward to seeing. And, I think whoever wins that fight, I definitely think that, at least as it stands right now, I think they knock off Pantoja.
All right, guys, I waited too long. I wanted to get into this so bad. I've never been so happy to be right, to be wrong. Never been so happy to be wrong in my life. Colby Covington. By the way, that friggin' main event was an absolute dud. It was a terrible fight. Let me be clear. Colby Covington looked like he got old. I mean, he took 2 years off. I get it. But he looked old. I'd never seen Colby Chaos Covington have cardio issues because he looked slow. He looked like, even at the end of round 1, he just didn't look right. The whole night, Colby Covington did not look great in this fight. He did, however, outland Leon Edwards, which I thought was interesting. But like the total punches combined between Covington and Leon Edwards were less than what Royval threw in a 5-round loss. It was an embarrassment of the division. I hated the fight to begin with. I thought it was a bad matchup for Leon Edwards. Got to give Leon Edwards his credit, man. Another, and I guess I call it dominant performance. He definitely won the fight. It was clear he won the fight. It was not a good fight. It looks like the 170-pound division is in some trouble.
170, like that was the most. Leon controlled the entire fight, but dominant feels like the wrong word to use there. Like I'm 100% with you there. I agree though with Colby. Like Colby looked like a shell of himself, and DC mentioned it like on the broadcast about ring rust is a real thing and all this stuff, especially for a guy that fights the way he does. Like it's different. You can train as much as you want to. It's different actually being in there in the cage for 25 minutes against somebody as high level as what Leon is. Now, that's not to give Colby any excuses. I just think moving forward, though, unless something crazy happens, I think this should be a lesson learned for Dana. You can't throw guys basically in there, off of 2 years to face the champion, especially off of what Colby had done before that. Like Colby had having close losses to Kamaru Usman, like I think that's just going to be a lesson learned for Dana. And I'm not saying this was the wrong fight to make or anything like that. I just think this is going to be a lesson learned for him. And I just want to give a lot of credit to Leon because not only did he out wrestle Colby, like he made it a point to make sure that he took him to the ground. So I got to give him all the credit in the world there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think he looked a little old. I think it was the first time that, like, that I can remember anyway, that Colby wasn't, the ultra aggressive person out of the two people in the cage. He looked a little off his game, and, have that be age or, not being in the cage for 2 years is a lot. I think Dana's hands were tied a little bit because, once he announced that Colby was number one contender, it's hard to tell that guy he's got to fight again, and possibly lose his shot. Again, if I'm Colby, I don't know if I would have sat on the sidelines for, almost 2 years, but, and I'll say this, I agree with you. I don't think Leon dominated. I think the fight was decisive, though. If that was the word I would have to use, that's what I would say. I would agree with both of you. I don't think it was dominant, but it was definitely decisive. Like, that fight didn't end, and you weren't like, oh, not like quite, like, you knew Leon won the fight.
Yeah.
I don't know where Colby goes from here, honestly. I mean, that's 3 title shots now. He's 0 for 3. I don't know.
We got to talk about that part and forget where Colby goes for a minute, because we're going to talk about who Leon fights next. But we have to talk about that part. It's national news. It was huge news. Colby Covington, and I felt like it was a slip of the tongue. I felt like he said it in, like, I don't felt like, you can obviously tell he wanted to backtrack when they got face to face. But the comments about Leon's father, fighters got to stop bringing other fighters' families up. His father's been dead. You made a comment about his dead father. I'm going to send him to hell with his father. Like, Colby, you got to be better than that, man. And I know that he's playing the role of a villain, and that's his, like, shtick. And, like, he tried to, I was in character. He's like, he's mouthing, I was in character, and then he denied that when they asked him about it. He's like, you kind of got picked up on a hot mic saying you were in character. He goes, no, I said, this is not a character. This is not a character. That's not what you said, bro. You said, I was.
If you go back and watch it, he actually said, like, you thought it was a character. And everybody thought it was but, like, I had to go back and, like, actually, like, watch it and listen to it. He says, you thought it was a character. Like,
I don't know, man. I just think that you can't say something like that. And Dana, you're really not, he's not doing well with Dana with that too, because it's the second time where Dana's basically had to defend another fighter. Leon Edwards, and he even did it with Jorge Masvidal when he mentioned Jorge's family and his kids and his ex-wife. I think that, and by the way, he's not a low IQ meathead. He's actually super smart. It's all like, listen to Joe Rogan's podcast. It's all stick. I think that Colby really just, and I would be happy to never see him again. I'd be happy to never see him fight in the cage again. I'm not saying he should be suspended. I'm just saying, like, if he moved on and there was no more Colby Covington, I'd be happy. He's not really exciting. He almost got cut from the UFC roster prior because he's not an exciting fighter. The only thing that sells is people want to see him get his face kicked in because he says a lot of stupid stuff. That comment had to be, it was worse than anything he said to Jorge.
I get it, but I agree. And obviously, I think there should be a line somewhere. But I find a little fault with Dana there, if I'm being 100% honest. And I say that because he was going to cut Colby until Colby came up with this character. Then when he came up with this character and he got exciting and he started beating a couple people, and then Dana could start promoting the hell out of him and make money. Dana had no problem with it then. Dana had no problem with the lead up, with Jorge until he crossed the line towards the very end of the promoting on the press conference and everything. So if you're going to come out and take a stand on it as being the president of the UFC, then they come out and take a stand on it. But
yeah, but you can talk trash without crossing a line, and that's kind of where Dana White.
But my point is, this isn't the first time he's done it, and that's the character he went to, and that's the reason Dana didn't cut him. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be like, oh, you re-image yourself. You're this guy that says controversial shit all the time and says this and says that, and Dana's over just cashing checks from tickets and everything else he's selling, and then in the press conference be like, oh, yeah, well, I mean, I don't think Colby should have said that. Like, and again, at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Dana gives a shit. I think Dana did that because
that's a fact.
On the surface, I think he says it because I do think he probably says, I don't think fighters should say that stuff, and I think he agrees with Leon. Like, I don't think you should talk about a fighter's dead father. I don't care what his past was, but I think when he walks off that stage, I don't think Dana gives a shit, like, at all, like, not one.
Yeah, Kittrell.
No, I mean, I definitely agree. I agree with that point of it. I think, Dana, I think, could truly care less about that whole situation. You've seen so many fires, and maybe not necessarily to this extent of that comment, but like Connor and Khabib's whole situation. Like Dana didn't really care about that whole situation.
Nope.
When Kobe's in it with, anybody else, Dana really doesn't care about it. Like, I think Dana tries to say the right things out there in front of everybody, but in reality doesn't care. Obviously, I mean, Kobe crossed the line there. Like I
Absolutely.
get it. I get it.
I think he wants him to talk smack. I think he wants him to be controversial. I just don't think he wants him to cross the line. And like I do think that like Dana's saying a lot of stuff to save face. So like I agree with you on that standpoint. But I don't think Dana would. I think if you ask Dana if he'd prefer he'd not say that or say that, he would say he'd prefer he not say that.
I mean, I agree with you there for sure. I just think me saying what I said, I don't think Dana White has ever had a conversation with Kobe saying, hey, tone it down a little bit. I don't want you to say this. Like, I don't think that conversation has ever happened. It's like, hey, Kobe's going to do his own thing. It's going to sell. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. If he says something stupid, I'll go out there and say I don't agree with him, but that's just going to be that. Kobe's going to do what he's going to do.
I will say this. Godfrey said this real quick. Leon's post-fight interview made me feel for Leon as a human. I want to say this.
That's
Leon Edwards has never and will never be a more popular fighter than he is right at this moment. Like he's skyrocketed up, and you got to give Colby credit for that, for the dumb comment that he made, and then him winning the fight. I don't think Leon Edwards is as good as the 170 champion, and as he's being portrayed. He's actually not being portrayed that good, but I don't think he's as good as some past 170 champions.
Bro, but it's WWE, dude. It's you're the guy that like people want to like. You're the good guy. You're the face going in. You got the belt, and you beat the guy that everybody hates, and you go from like middling to and it shoots you to the moon. That's all this was. Like he went in and he beat.
Is he like main event Jey Uso? Is that who he is?
Yeah, like he is the. No, but like that's what it is. It's literally WWE like storytelling. That's what it is. You take the guy, the feel good story, the guy that really maybe wasn't supposed to be a champ or nobody ever saw as a champ. You keep building him, and you get him in the ring with the super villain, and the super villain loses and puts him over, and he goes to the moon. And that's where we're at right now. It's literally where we're at. It's what it is, and it's good for him.
I mean,
and honestly, dude, if you would have told anybody a year and a half ago, Leon Edwards is going to be your welterweight champ, and his last 3 fights were going to be beating Kamaru twice and Colby. Nobody would have took that. Nobody would have took it.
You're right,
and that's the facts. I mean, we were literally all saying, he's going to lose the rematch, then we're going to get stuck with Kamaru again, or Kamaru. We can't do Kamaru Colby again, or how great it was going to be if Colby won, because then you'd have this super hated guy at the top of the division where everybody's biting their chomp, to get in there and beat him and get the belt off him. But at the end of the day, kind of like Gene said, 170 is kind of in a real feel-good spot right now.
And it's not only a feel-good spot. Go ahead, Control. I'll stop. But I want to get back to that point. Feel-good spot.
So the one thing that I'll just say here real quick was that with Leon, it's crazy to see where he's at right now, because we were literally 1 minute away from this not being the case. He doesn't land that head kick against Kamaru. Kamaru's still reigning through. Obviously, we wouldn't have saw Kamaru fight Colby again, so I don't know what would have been next there. But the one thing that I did just want to give Leon credit to real quick is that he had every opportunity to go out there and trash Colby for what, not only for what he said, but just as he was like in the octagon. He could have trashed him as a fighter in the literal octagon. This guy brags about being this great wrestler, great pace. I outpaced him, I out-wrestled him. He stinks. Like, he could have done that. But instead, he hopped on the mic and he said, like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm going to be vulnerable. What he said made me very emotional. Kobe's a great fighter. He's a terrible human being. That's basically what he came out and said. And that's a high road that he absolutely did not need to take there. And you got to give him credit for not getting emotional throughout the fight as well.
You got to take the high road when you're in the face.
But listen, you can say that, but I felt like that he nailed it, and I agree with every word he said. And yeah, I do want to say what would be next for obviously I think it's Bilal Muhammad is the next fight. I would probably go Shavrat versus Colby, or like Shavrat like needs to fight someone else. Like
Colby ain't taking that fight.
Maybe Shavrat over Burns, but like giving him a fight like on the same card as Leon Bilal Muhammad.
What I would do is I make Shavkat my essentially guy in waiting here. You match up Bilal versus Leon, and you have Shavkat be your backup emergency fighter if anything happens, late injury, whatever. And then with Colby, I would say with Colby, there's a guy in the 155 division that he has beef with that is also really in this weird purgatory, and that's Dustin Poirier. I think you can get those guys going, get them to fight at 170. It really means nothing for the division. Neither one of them are going for a title shot anytime soon, but that's a fight that's going to sell. It's going to be great, great press conferences.
Knocks it out.
But you get this. You have the story there, and you also have two guys that really are in this weird purgatory. Like, I think that's the next fight for Colby.
I mean, that's fair too. I don't disagree with you. I was just trying to think of like the rankings, like giving like Shavkat like basically a number one contenders match, like type of.
Yeah,
I get it. That's fair.
The only reason why I say
if he's going to miss any time with his injury.
Yeah, he's probably going to miss some time, and that was one of the reasons why
he's got torn ligaments and everything. I mean, that's surgery. That's downtime.
That was one of the reasons why I said that. And two, as much as you want to get these guys out there fighting other people, if Shavkat loses to Gilbert Burns or whoever he fights next, like you're in a bad spot.
Well, you can. I mean, if Shavkat loses to Gilbert Burns, you could essentially put Gilbert Burns versus Leon if he wins. But if Bilal wins, we just seen that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I get it. It's fair. Fair points. Let's get to Christmas Day, guys. NBA. It's one of the things I love about Christmas Day. And man, the NBA did not strike out this year. This is the best Christmas Day card I can remember in the last 20 years. It's everything. I mean, yeah, granted, 10 years ago when you had Kobe and LeBron, when the Heat played the Lakers, that was a great game, right? But this is 5 games in which I want to watch all of them.
And a lot of them, like, make sense.
100%. The Knicks basically battle with the Bucks in the play-in tournament. The Bucks only lost in the play-in tournament before they went to the group play. I love what the New York Knicks are doing. And talking about guys taking steps forward, is Jalen Brunson a superstar? Like, is Jalen Brunson like a top 15 NBA player?
He's definitely taken a step.
Incredible.
He's definitely taken a step.
He's a star. I don't think he's a superstar.
I will say, though, I know it's only been one game, but now that John Moran is back, it brings a whole different meaning to the term superstar at that position. Like, I just don't.
It does.
And it's not taking anything away from Jalen, but like when I think superstar, like that's what Ja is. I don't know if Jalen's quite there yet.
Superstar is Giannis, is Tatum, like those that elite level guy. That's a superstar. I think Jalen Brunson. He's what?
I think superstars are top 15 players in the NBA. I'm asking.
He's not in there.
I think it's questionable.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
15 is a low number when you really start breaking down people.
Can we name 15 players better than him right now? Can we have time?
There's damn near 15 players playing on the Christmas Day that are better than him.
It depends. If you would take LeBron or AD over Jalen Brunson right now, I wouldn't.
I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
As like you mean like
I'm the most anti. What are you talking about?
This season going forward for one season, would you have LeBron, AD, or Jalen Brunson?
I would have AD number 1. I'd have LeBron 2, and Jalen Brunson would be a distant 3.
I hate to agree, but I agree.
Okay. Maybe he's not a superstar then. And if you guys don't have him about LeBron AD right now, then he's not a top 15 player. I think he's playing incredible basketball.
Not for one season. Like, can he be a franchise player?
Yes. I'm not saying that for one season. He's done it for 2 seasons, and I'm talking about going forward based off what he's doing. Oh, you mean like just not for this season, but going forward?
As we sit here now, like, if he keeps getting better for the next 3 years, then this is a silly conversation.
Okay. So let's pick them all. Let's have some fun. Bucks at Knicks, New York City, Madison Square Garden. I think the Knicks win the basketball game. Listen, I love what the Bucks are doing, and the Bucks are playing great basketball, number 2 seed in the East. But I think the Knicks playing at home on Christmas Day, and they play this team tough. Julius Randle always seems to give Giannis fits. I'll take the Knicks to win the basketball game. Give me the money line.
I'll go Bucks. I don't disagree with anything you said. I'm very used to being, at Katie Travis's house, and it's the first game. The Knicks are always the first game that come on, and watching the game there. I think they played. They played Boston last year. I can't remember who they played last year, but
either Boston or the Sixers.
I think it was Boston. The Sixers didn't play on Christmas last year. I like the Bucks. I think they're starting to really hit a groove, and Giannis and Dame are obviously starting to get really, really comfortable with each other. I just think it's too much down the stretch. I think it's a close game. I think it's a great game to start off. New York crowd, noon, Christmas Day. Sign me up all day. I'm there for it. But I'm going to go with the Bucks.
Give me the Bucks. I think Giannis drops 50 in the Garden on Christmas Day.
Ooh. And that would make my Julius Randle comment sound silly. But
no, I think, with New York, especially right now, Mitchell Robinson not being there, like, that's a presence in the paint that's going to be, greatly missed for, I think he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. I just don't think Julius Randle is a great frontline guy to stop Giannis, but you got to have some help behind you. You don't have a shot blocking at the rim. I think it's going to make things hard for you. So I like Giannis to dominate, and he's on a run right now. So I like that run to continue.
Speaking about that run, we didn't talk about it, but you guys, we completely skipped over it. The basketball thing that happened with Giannis and the he wanted the basketball and the Indiana Pacers giving it. Like, did you guys have a thought on that?
I think it was just a horribly big miscommunication. Obviously Giannis didn't know why they were trying to keep it until after, but I think it was a little overzealous of him to go after it the way he did. Like, you're Giannis. I'm pretty sure there's some people in the Milwaukee Bucks organization that can go looking for that ball for you rather than.
I don't understand how the Indiana Pacers get the home. I thought the game was in Indiana. I'm like, how the game must have been in Indiana, and Indiana just took their home ball. It was in Milwaukee, and they took the ball.
No, see, that right there is exactly why I side with Giannis. And if you saw how it happened after the game, literally as soon as the horn sounded, it was like one of the Pacers assistants kind of slyly came over, called for the ball, took it, went straight to the locker room, didn't talk to anybody, didn't do anything. Like, it really felt like the Pacers were really trying to be sneaky about it. And Giannis was having a normal conversation at first with Halliburton, and then you could see people in the background telling him something that obviously he didn't want to hear. So I do think the Pacers were being a little slimy about the whole situation, and that's why Giannis got so mad about it. If they would have just said, hey, honest mistake, we'll go get it. We'll get it for you. Like, we understand it's a big game. The reason why we did it was, rookie scored his first points ever. That wasn't the case. They gave him some crazy feedback there at home. You break that record, and for most points, by a buck. I understand the frustration there for sure, because it definitely felt slimy on the Pacers side.
Your old buddy Oscar Chiabwe, his first points. That's his points it was.
Yeah, but 1 point, scored a free throw.
Let's talk about Golden State and Denver. Golden State is having issues of their own. Draymond Green being suspended indefinitely. We
didn't talk about that either, I don't think.
We talked about it for a little bit last week. We talked about we don't think it should have been as long as it was. That's okay. Golden State last night, Steph Curry looked incredible. They asked this question this morning on Coffee and Sports, and I want to ask you guys this question. What's Golden State's ceiling this season if they don't make a move?
Western Conference semifinals.
I agree.
I didn't. You guys all disagree with me. I'm the only one on this ledge. Only one. I think their ceiling is the NBA championship.
Oh, get out of here! They got to make a move.
The only reason I will say that it's not crazy or far fetched is you've seen him get into modes where he can single handedly win you a game, and if he gets in one of those stretches where everything he throws up goes in. I can't say that I can't see it, especially if you get something especially if Clay starts, continues to, you're seeing more hints of it this year that he might be somewhere closer back to where he was a couple years ago. I'm not saying it's super far. I think it's unlikely. I don't think it's crazy though.
Feeling, but I didn't say,
but
yeah, I get it.
So the reason why I vehemently disagree is because you're not seeing that Clay right now. Clay's, not being the Clay that we were used to seeing before that injury. Andrew Wiggins has turned into a shell of himself. Like Steve Kerr had to move Andrew Wiggins to the bench to try and spark something new. I just think the Warriors are in this spot right now where there's just so much uncertainty. And especially, with that team, I don't want to say turning on Draymond because that wouldn't be the right word, but they're not behind the same stuff that they had been in years past. I just don't think there's enough bullets in the chamber for that Warriors team.
I think they have plenty of bullets. I just don't think they know how to use them yet. Chris Paul's played great for them.
Agreed. I agree there. But who's consistently who's going to be their number two?
All right, Klay Thompson's starting to pick it up. He had 6 threes.
He's had 3 good games. He had a 3 good game stretch, but before that, we were talking about.
You're right.
Brandon
You're right.
Taking
He's starting to warm up, and I think that their ceiling, if they get in the playoffs and he's playing better basketball, I think they have a ceiling. I really do, and I think Andrew Wiggins is going to get better. I think he's going to get back into playing shape. I think Chris Paul. I think when Draymond Green comes back, I think they have 11 good basketball players on their roster. So, when I look at their roster, I just don't think they're putting it together. I think Moses Moody is going to get better as the season goes on. Maybe I'm nuts, and I get it.
I love their roster.
I just think that right now the roster is flawed because they don't have the right rotation, and I think they can get that right rotation.
That can definitely happen. I guess my biggest thing is the consistency piece. Steph can go for 30, whenever he wants to. Steph can take over a game. But if Klay Thompson isn't being your consistent number 2 guy on offense, you got a big problem on your hands because nobody else on that Warriors team can consistently put up 20 points a game for you. And as great as those pieces are, if you're not putting the ball in the basket, you're not going to win basketball games. So that's my issue with them right now. That's why I say they need to make a move. Even if it is getting rid of a guy like Andrew Wiggins and just getting somebody, maybe Tobias Harris is that guy for them. I don't know. They need something different on that team, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I think we're all going to agree. I think the Denver Nuggets win that game at home. I just kind of wanted to bring that conversation up. We haven't talked much basketball, and we had some time, so I just kind of wanted to get that opinion out there. We all agree Denver wins this basketball game now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, in the assumption of Jamal Murray. I know he's been in and out of the lineup. I expect him to play Christmas Day.
Yeah, he's back. He played the other 2 days.
I know, but they've been putting him in, taking him out, just kind of slow playing him back. Fully expect him to play Christmas Day. Fully expect him to, but for whatever reason, if something comes up, between then, I think that would be the Warriors' shot to win that game, but I do like Denver in that one.
Boston at LA. Boston, to me, looks like the NBA Finals favorite. They look at the best team in basketball. They look like the most complete team in basketball. And then last night, at the end of the fourth quarter, they absolutely fall apart. I get it. Steph Curry went nuts. That's fine. But they're going to run through the Lakers in LA, right? LeBron's not going to turn it on for Christmas Day and win a basketball game. Am I right?
I think it's a very good game. I'm going Boston. I'm picking the better team. If they lose, then, it's one of those things where I deal with it. If LeBron has some crazy 40-point Christmas Day game, or AD goes off for 45 like he did the other night, then it's something like that. It's you tip your hats to him at that point. I think if the normal game plays out, I think Boston's better. I think Boston wins.
Lakers are getting shelled again tonight by Chicago. Ever since that play-in tournament, they've really been playing terrible basketball. And I don't
I disagree with that.
Okay. What do you mean you disagree with that? How do you disagree? Three out of the last 4 games, won to San Antonio, who lost 20 straight basketball games. You disagree they've been playing bad basketball?
If you watch the game they played against the Mavericks, like, it wasn't a bad basketball game. Like, they just ended up losing the game. Like, they weren't playing bad basketball,
bro. You're arguing just to argue at this point. The Lakers are going 3 out of their last 4 games to the Knicks, the Spurs, the Mavericks. Yeah, it was not a bad game. And then they beat the Spurs by 3. The Spurs lost 20 freaking games in a row.
The first game that they lost to the Spurs, Anthony Davis didn't play. Neither did Jared Vanderbilt. I get it. You don't need those guys to necessarily beat the Spurs. Like, I understand that. What I'm saying is, when that team is all together, they look like what the game was against the Mavericks. Like, I'm not going to say they're playing bad basketball because they've been playing games without their full lineup there. Now, I'm not giving them any excuse for it tonight.
They were all together last night.
I don't know who's playing tonight. The game against the Knicks wasn't a bad game. They were in. I mean, it was a close game. They ended up losing. Like, just because you're losing basketball games doesn't mean you're playing bad basketball. I mean, it was like what, 129, 125.
3 out of 4 games, and are on your home court, 2 of them, and one of them's to the Spurs, who lost 20 straight basketball.
It's not like AD played and had 50 and Bron played and all these guys played. Like, let's look at it for what it is.
Everybody played the Knicks.
And they lost by what, 4?
Doesn't matter. They lost the game at home to the Knicks.
They're going to be in the playoffs. That's not bad basketball.
Okay.
Somebody's got to lose. You're not going to say the Knicks are playing bad basketball if they lost to the Lakers and then lost to the Bucks. Like, that'd be silly.
The Spurs and the Knicks are not the Lakers and the Bucks. Just FYI.
And again,
I got the Celtics.
We're running in circles here.
The Celtics are the better basketball team. The Celtics are the better basketball team. I think the Celtics win the NBA Finals. That's my pick. That's my projection. They look like a team that can win the NBA Finals. They're 20-6, even after the game they blew last night. I'll take the Celtics in this one.
I got the Lakers here. Gene, you already mentioned exactly why I think the Lakers are going to win. Bron and AD, they're going to turn it on for Christmas. Everybody's watching this game, so but I truly think this is going to be the Austin Reeves show. With the Celtics, I love what they're going to do throughout this season. I mean, I love their chances to go to the finals. I think the one weird thing that's been coming out recently is them, being buyers, already talking about being buyers at the trade deadline. The Drew Holiday move, I guess maybe they're not loving it for whatever reason. I mean, I think if it's working,
he doesn't fit in with them. He's playing good defense, though.
I get it, but you're 20-6 right now. I wouldn't change what's working. For me personally, you bring in somebody else, maybe it messes up the chemistry, and you're not having as much success. So I don't like that. I just don't like that sentiment. But that has nothing to do with this game. I just think that the Lakers will turn it on because it's a primetime game, and they like to win games when a lot of eyes are on them.
Who do you got in this one, Charlie? You said Celtics. My fault. 76ers are playing at Miami, Christmas Day. Joel Embiid. Here's the thing, right? What a difference an NBA coach makes. Joel Embiid's posting career highs in assists, averaging 34 points a game. Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre. Kelly Oubre's looked great. They got a deep bench that they could throw multiple players in that can guard multiple positions. They're a top 10 team in defense this year. Joel Embiid is playing great defense. Maxey, we're not talking about nearly enough, averaging 25 points per game. I got the 76ers, man. I do. I don't think the Heat are ready. I don't think they look good this year at all, and I'll take the 76ers in this one.
Because we're here, I do got a question for you guys. I'm sure you guys saw it. With Joel Embiid, how do you guys feel about those comments that he made about, obviously, career high in assists right now, but he said it's not winning basketball when the ball is, stuck in certain places. Like, you got to pass the ball around to win basketball games. Clear shot at James Harden, but how do you guys feel about that, especially now that the Sixers are
it's true.
having as much success as they are?
Same old
It's exactly what Gene said. It's Gene. the 1A, we got a new coach. 1B, we got rid of James Harden, running an offense that didn't suit everybody on the floor, but it suited him, and a guy who played no defense. It's not a surprise to me that everybody else now the ball is flowing around. Tyrese is playing a more natural position and playing it the way he wants to, and everybody's playing defense. Yeah, it's not surprising to me at all that they're better.
I'm not saying it's not true. I guess
I hate the comments.
So.
If you're asking, can I answer? I hate the comments.
Yeah,
I can't stand it. It's Joel being Joel again. Joel does this to everybody that leaves town. He does it. It's just shut up and leave it go. Shut up. On that one. Like you don't just shut up.
At the end of the day, he still doesn't want anything with anybody. So
correct.
I mean, at some point, you can
always a friggin' excuse, man.
You can point the finger at him and be like, "You haven't won anything either." So I mean,
why did you take me being happy and take it here?
What?
I was happy.
I didn't mean to bring you down.
It's because the Cavaliers are underachieving. He had to bring us down. That's what this is all about, Gene.
No. This is about Joel bringing you down. I was asking because the Sixers are having so much success after James left. Why even bring up James Harden?
But why is that even surprising to anybody?
I mean,
listen, if the Cavaliers were good like they're supposed to be, we wouldn't be talking about this, Gene. I'm just telling you.
Hey, send me a package for Donovan Mitchell, and we'll make you guys even better. Send Maxey back.
Please, that's not going to happen. You guys are tired of Spider already?
No, he doesn't want to be there. He's tired of them. He doesn't want to be there.
No, he just wants to get the hell out of Utah.
And now he wants to get the hell out of Cleveland. He wants to play in New York, even if you trade for him, it doesn't matter. I'd rather trade for Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine wants to be in Philadelphia, and I think Donovan Mitchell wants to be in New York.
Yeah,
you're not hearing me, buddy.
It's just a
send us Maxey for Mitchell straight up.
You're not getting Maxey, bro.
Fax the paperwork. He's
debatably more popular than Joe is right now. Like that kid is going nowhere. Just stop.
I get it. Make Philly fans mad.
There's 2 jerseys that sell in the Philadelphia Sixers fan shop, right? 2. It's Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah.
Like they have other ones that you can buy, but nobody else is selling.
You could tell Cleveland to turn their busted ass Canon fax machine off. There ain't nothing coming from Philly, not from Maxey. Just turn it off. It ain't coming.
We got in the game, Cottrell. You picking Miami? You gonna go pick Miami?
I got Philly big.
In a normal game, I probably would. I do think that Jimmy will turn on for this one, but I like the way the Sixers are playing basketball right now. I think, Maxey with Embiid. Embiid's another one of his crazy modes where he's putting up, 40 points a game, it feels like, and, just dominating games. So I do like the Sixers here, and I love what Nick Nurse has done to that Sixers team. Again, I still think you guys need to make one move to get one piece. I don't know if it even has to be as big as Zach LaVine at this point, but I do think you need to make one move to be, serious title contenders this year. But I love that Sixers roster as it is right now. And I agree. I do think they win big down there in Miami.
Completely agree with you.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you rather take LaVine or DeRozan?
I think LaVine's a better fit for what we're doing in Philadelphia. I think DeRozan's a better player.
Fair.
You say that because Zach LaVine can shoot?
Yes. And I just think that he doesn't need the ball in his hands as much as Donovan Mitchell does. So I think that the player that's going to fit best with Philadelphia is the ones that don't need the ball, that can shoot, that are electric, that can create their own shot.
I don't want Donovan Mitchell. I was talking about DeMar DeRozan.
I know. I used Mitchell as an example. DeMar DeRozan's a good player, and I think he's a better player than Zach LaVine. I think we have the worst version of him already. We have Tobias Harris. I think they're very similar type players.
LaVine could just stay healthy. I'd be all about that trade. But, I mean, the dude just
maybe he does stay healthy when he plays for a winning team.
Fair.
Maybe he does stay healthy when he's not the number 1 option. He's number 3 option. He can take some plays off on offense and or defense and on a better team. Players do seem to magically get a lot healthier when they're on better teams.
Because they enjoy playing the sport more.
Last game, I need to make fun of a team. The Phoenix Suns. It's fun to make fun of the Suns right now. They're 14-13. They're a 500 team. Bradley Beal has played a lot of basketball games this year. He's played 6. Devin Booker is running the point for them, averaging 8 assists a game. It's not working. It's not working. Between Durant and Booker, they're averaging 60 points. It's not working. The team is not constructed properly. They don't have a true point guard that's getting everyone involved. I hate the way that the Suns look. I think they're overachieving at 14 and 13. And if you look at Booker's assist to turnover ratio, even as the point guard, you can see that he's turning the ball over at a higher rate. Him and Durant both turning the ball over more than normal. I don't like the team. They don't play defense. A staple Frank Vogel teams are playing defense. They're not there's almost zero defensive efficiency on the team. I like the Mavericks for whatever reason. They're playing well. I never expected a team that had Kyrie Irving to get better. They're 16 and 10. They look like a better team. What are your thoughts on this game? I'll go with Dallas in this one because I think they're playing better. But as a whole, they're getting a lot of contributions from a lot of players. Derek Lively, Grant Williams, Derek Jones are all giving them consistent minutes and consistent points per game on Dallas. That adds to the Luka magic. That adds to Kyrie Irving. That adds to why am I forgetting the kid's name? Tim Hardaway Jr. Your thoughts on this game?
I mean, I think for me, I think it's a little premature to say it's not working with the Suns because their big three hasn't played one game together this year. Now, if you say it's not working because they haven't played a game together and, all the injury history and all that, then, I can definitely agree with you there. I don't love the way they're built either. I said that I thought from the beginning that they should have had a point guard and they should have brought one in to run the true point on this team. But we just don't know what this Suns team is until Bradley Beal, KD, and Devin Booker play, at least 10 games together. Like, we don't know what they're going to be until they do that. And as for the Mavericks, I think they have been playing good basketball as of late. But the one big thing, though, is that Kyrie Irving hasn't been playing. He has a foot injury. And they've been getting some insane contribution from Dante Exum. Like, Dante Exum has revived his career down there in Dallas. So
How about Dante Exum, bro?
Like, it's insane, what he's done the past few games. I had to pick him up in my fantasy league because he was dropping like 50 points a night, for that Mavs team. Also in this game, though, I do like Phoenix to win. I think they just got a couple more horses. I think, this will be a game where Devin Booker tries to go out, drops 40. I think him and Luka are going to battle. This is like one of those kind of like unspoken rivalries, since Luka took out the Suns in that game 7 when they beat them by 125. These teams have had bad blood. So I like Luka to go at it with the Suns, but I like the Suns to pull it off at home.
Okay. Shally?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of things both of you guys said, actually. I do think Dallas is the better team. This just screams to me a game where the Suns show
Put it
up
together,
and,
on Christmas Day.
yeah, put it together. Booker and Durant probably both go nuts, and they probably squeak something out. I think it's a great game to end the whole slate for the day. I mean, who would have thought like injury prone Bradley Beal would go to Phoenix and just not playing a lot of games? I mean, that's really surprising to me. For a lot of people that follow the NBA, hear a lot of shocked people out there that Bradley Beal is just on the injury report all the time. But that being said, listen, I mean, we talked about this last year when it happened. We're right about a lot of stuff. We're wrong about a lot of stuff. But I mean, that was something we were all right and unanimous about. That team's not constructed to win, and it's sure as hell not constructed to win to come out of that West with the way the West is this year. The West is loaded. If they don't go get a point guard and then actually let those guys go play their normal positions, there is no shot that they're winning 4 rounds of playoff games to get to the finals in the West. They're just not. There's too many good teams. I know Booker and Durant can be incredible and put up video game numbers and do this and that, but they just don't have the depth, and everybody else in the team on the floor is just kind of a placeholder, and that's not going to work in the playoffs. So, but that being said, for Christmas night, I think they pull it out at home. I think it's a close game, and I'll say Phoenix ekes one out.
What's Katra, you brought this up, and I'm just going to ask you guys quickly before you get in. You got to be kidding me. Dream like Christmas lineup that you can picture out. Control, give me yours, and then I'll try to piece one together. I didn't realize we'd have the extra 5 minutes to do this.
Yeah, so for me, I would start off by having the Browns play. I would prefer it to be, a rivalry game against the Steelers. Start that off at 1 o'clock. But, with it being us having wire to wire here, it'd be awesome for Browns, Eagles, 1 o'clock Christmas Day. One of us gets to be happy at the end of it. Definitely would love that. My middle of the day slate would definitely be a UFC card in Abu Dhabi. I love those 2 p.m. starters where you get the main event by 5 p.m. Love those. I don't know who I would want to headline it. I'm probably leaning Islam, just because that's my guy. But that definitely would be it. And then I'd want to end the night with some basketball. Definitely would want to see the Celtics play as it stands right now. I would want Celtics versus Bucks. I think that's going to be your Eastern Conference Finals matchup. I think that team, ultimately the winner of that game, is going to be who goes on and wins the NBA Finals. I think those are the two best teams in basketball. So give me Dame and give me Giannis versus Tatum and Brown on Christmas Day to round out the night.
Oh, you want to talk about a Christmas Day that I want? I want Eagles Giants in Philadelphia, because I do not want to have any stress and any inclination of losing a football game on Christmas Day. I will be miserable. I'm miserable when the Eagles lose. You're gonna give me 24 hours, dude. It drives me nuts. So I'll go Eagles Giants for my football game, and then maybe I'm cheesy. Maybe I'm just the wrong person to ask, but can I move one of the bowl games up to Christmas Day? Can I move a really good college football game up to Christmas Day? Can I get a 4 o'clock start, like a UCLA USC at the Rose Bowl arena? Not the Rose Bowl game, but give me that sun one more time. Let me watch a good college football game. And then I can prepare to drink my eggnog and watch some NBA basketball. And I want to see, and we're picking dream scenarios here. I want to see the 76ers play. I'm a Philadelphia guy. So I got my time to eat my dinner. I can watch the bowl game. I don't have to care about the game. I can just enjoy the game. And then I'm done. I get to watch 76ers basketball at night. And give me the 76ers versus the Celtics, because that game can be stressful and I won't really be upset. There's 82 games, but I want to see good basketball.
I did mine a little different. I went way more in depth than you guys did. I thought this was going to be a big thing. So I probably put way too much time into this compared to you two.
No worries.
So I got Abu Dhabi in mind, but for a different reason. Give me 9 o'clock. Give me a Formula One Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I love waking up. We do brunch for Formula One in this house. I love it. We wake up, we do our mimosas, get our Christmas off to a good start. Do presents with my nephew JD, which we do every Christmas now. We spend the morning with him, so that's great. I would love to have that on the background. Abu Dhabi, it's at night, obviously, because they're way far ahead, under the lights. It's a very aesthetically pleasing race to watch. 12 o'clock, give me a Flyers-Rangers noon puck drop at the Wells Fargo Center. Play these guys in the afternoon all the time. It's usually Black Friday. We're going to move it to Christmas Day this year. Give me Flyers-Rangers at noon. 5 o'clock, I'm stealing Gene a little bit here. I'm moving the Rose Bowl to Christmas Day. 5 o'clock, give me Michigan, Bama, Rose Bowl. Kuchel, you ever notice this is the one thing that I always notice about Gene, though. He's gotten so much better with college football, but the man has an undying passion for the Rose Bowl, and I would always appreciate that. He talks about the Rose Bowl like it's the Holy Grail, Coliseum, and I love
that's
that
what
about
it is. That's what it is.
Give me the sun on the mountains one more time before kickoff. I love that about Gene. So give me Michigan, Rose Bowl, 5 o'clock kick. Then 8:15 prime time, just like Gene said, food's digested. It's relaxed. Give me 8:15. Give me Eagles Cowboys. There's nothing better. It's Christmas Day. I want nothing better than a Christmas present to watch all the Cowgirls fans start whining and say how the Cowboys didn't show up and lose and ruin their Christmas Day. Too bad. Santa didn't come to Dallas. That's not my problem. And last but not least, 10:45. Give me JoJo and the boys out on the West Coast playing LeBron and AD, finishing the day up. Lakers, Sixers. That's my perfect day, gentlemen.
Shally wins. You got to be kidding me.
For sure. So mine this week, kind of a fun one here. So I got the if you were on Twitter, you saw that Deion Sanders, won. He dominated the portal, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Funny thing is, and that's not part of the you got to be kidding me, is that 3 of these guys will not even be playing with Colorado next season. But this is what came out after everybody committed whatsoever. The reason why this is my you got to be kidding me is because if you look, the second name on here is Amari Ward from Jackson State, the team that Deion Sanders previously coached. He had put out on Twitter that he was committed to Colorado and, he was going there to be a buff, and that was just going to be that. He wanted to help turn things around. Well, then a couple days later, one of the assistant coaches at Colorado saw that and came out and said that Colorado has not been in contact with Amari Ward, and he is not enrolled at Colorado, and he will not be a part of the Buffs this next season. They had never offered him. They had never spoken to him. And apparently the story goes is that Amari had originally gotten an offer before this past season, and he didn't pass the admission standards to get into Colorado. And so at that point, Colorado decided to move on. But this year, they didn't talk to him at all, and he's just like, hey, I got a Colorado offer. I'm ready to, go to Colorado, go to Boulder, and, go Buffs. So this week for me, Amari Ward, just being in no man's land, caught with your pants down, it's going to come back to you one way or another. So this week for me.
You gotta be kidding me.
Man, if you don't meet the academic standards to get into Colorado, anyway.
So you got one? We got a minute and a half.
I don't. I'm going to let you go because I know you have one, so go.
It's funny you say that. I don't have one this week. It's one of my only weeks I don't have one because I wanted to use my time for You Gotta Be Kidding Me to wish everybody out there in Wire2Wire land a very happy holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, anything whatever you're celebrating, I hope that you're enjoying it with family. I hope you get to, and I want to wish my man Cottrell, Greg Cruz. I hope him and his family have the greatest. Listen, I'm happy, guys. I haven't been happy like this in a long, long time. And I'm super happy, and I really I'm excited to spend time with my family, but I'm also excited to be able to go into a Christmas morning and smile and be happy and be back where I felt like I was 5-6 years ago. So I love you guys. I appreciate everybody on in the comments every week. I appreciate everybody that downloads the show. And any final thoughts? We got 30 seconds.
I'll go quick. Saying Merry Christmas. I love both you guys. I love everything that we do here. All of our followers and listeners for every week. We can't do this without you guys. And we say it a lot, but it's 100% true. I'm going to echo what Gene said. I am the happiest I've been in a long time, and that's for a lot of reasons. And those people and in those situations know who they are and why they are and why I am the way I am. And that being said, enjoy the time with your family. Cherish it. Check in on the people that might be struggling. It is the hardest time of year for people. So Merry Christmas. I love everybody. Cottrell, have a good trip. Don't fall off the boat.
Appreciate it. Merry Christmas, everybody, and look forward to getting back with you guys to start a new year.
All right, let's go.